Chelsea Naval Hospital in Boston. Well, it took about a month to get back there at any rate.
Did it? But it saved you. It saved you, didn't it?
It saved me, but I will tell you, well, we've been quarantined for 2 weeks, my wife and I.
I'm sorry, I got to hold you there. Call back tomorrow, Doug. We're running out of time. See you tomorrow. I'm Howie Carr.
Volatility in the market is a fact. What isn't so clear is what the ups and downs of the market can do to your retirement portfolio. For answers, call Kevin Frisbee at 800-989-9100. Kevin is president of Frisbee and Associates, and he's been helping people cut through the noise to create a retirement and income plan that can take you all the way to and through retirement. Call now for your free 1-hour financial consultation. 800-989-9100.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
The word that's helping Elizabeth Warren get through her so-so campaign? So.
Will you raise taxes on the middle class to pay for it? Yes or no?
So the way I see this, so understand, taxing income is not going to get you where you need to be the way taxing wealth does. So no, and I'm not here to criticize other Democrats. So my proposal is that student loan debt would be canceled up to $50,000.
So, Elizabeth, can you put this issue to bed and tell us whether or not you are, in fact, a member of a minority group?
So, middle-class families.
Why did you list yourself as an American Indian on this Texas bar application?
So, I grew up out in Oklahoma. So look.
Why did you check those boxes?
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
And we begin tonight with a disturbing milestone in this coronavirus pandemic.
Today, the United States surpassed Italy, the country with the most deaths.
The grim milestone comes at Easter, the very weekend Donald Trump had wanted to reopen the country for business.
This latest surge pushing the U.S. total beyond hard-hit Italy after already overtaking Spain, now the deadliest nation in confirmed COVID-19 fatalities.
You're forgetting something. China.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Trump, meanwhile, calls it the Chinese virus. They say a great way to prevent a virus from spreading is to name it something racist.
For the president to call it a Chinese virus or a foreign virus, it's just so dangerous and not a good thing to do.
There are at least one White House official who used the term Kung Flu, referring to the fact that this virus started in China. Is that acceptable?
We can't afford the luxury anymore of non-judginess towards a country with habits that kill millions of people everywhere. It's not racist to point out that eating bats is batshit crazy.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
This is not a major threat for the people in the United States, and this is not something that the citizens of the United States right now should be worried about.
It isn't something that the American public needs to worry about or be frightened about.
Well, that was then, and this is now.
If we had, right from the very beginning, shut everything down, it may have been a little bit different, but there was a lot of pushback about shutting things down back then.
Unchained and unstoppable.
China was not truthful with the world at the outset of this. Had they been more truthful with the world, which would have enabled them to be more truthful with themselves, they might have actually been able to contain this entirely.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Grim milestone. Whatever the death toll is, it's a grim milestone, at least if there's a Republican president and there's a pandemic going on or a war going on. If it's a Democrat president, nothing to see here, folks. Move along. 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. We got a lot to get to here today. We have a lot of great guests scheduled, including Alex Berenson, the former New York Times reporter, who's been sort of a contrarian on this whole subject. And he's going to be with us at the bottom of the hour. We'll have Joe DeGeneva talking about the latest developments in Spygate, the biggest political scandal in American history, and we got a lot going on here, but I first will start today and just get right into it. Again, the number if you want to join us is 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. And the big news yesterday was that Anthony Fauci, the doctor, that's the head guy, 79 years old, went on with a Democrat operative, former coat holder for Chelsea Clinton's mother-in-law, whose husband went to prison for $10 million in bank fraud. But I digress. So he's a Democrat operative with a press pass. So he's got this New York Times story from the previous day blaming Trump for everything. What else is new, right? Talk about a standing headline. Trump did it. And so he sets up.
Everybody's always blaming me for everything.
They are. What else is new? We all know that. You know that better than any of us. So he sets it up, and Fauci just the problem with Fauci is, I thought about this long and hard. He's a chameleon. He goes on with Mark Levin, and Mark Levin is happy with the interview. He goes on with Jesse Waters from Fox as well. Jesse Waters gets what he wants, right? So, but he also goes on with Jake Tapper and gives him what he wants. But in this case, Jake Tapper was setting him up, and he didn't really throw Trump under the bus the way the headlines made it seem, but he was not very wary. He didn't cover himself well, and he didn't cover his boss, which is the president, very well. And so the president, like all of us, didn't watch Jake Tapper. Because, if you want to see a batty, deranged Democrat, You don't have to turn on CNN. You just walk around and you see somebody yapping. So Trump just sees the headline and then he retweets this, and then somebody has said, fire Fauci, and he just retweets it. I don't think he's not going to fire him. I don't think Cuomo said as much. Hogan Gidley said as much today. He's not going to. I don't think he's going to fire him. But anyway, if you probably haven't heard these cuts because like I said, like none of us watch Jake Tapper. Who the hell would watch Jake Tapper? Was one of the premier proponents of the dodgy dossier, which we're going to get to later on today, which was totally fraudulent, and everybody knew it was totally fraudulent, and they still pushed it. And he was on the air in January of 2017 for 4 hours with other nitwits like Carl Bernstein, pushing this thing like it was real. And I remember that at the time looking up and say, are they kidding? Do they really believe this caca? But anyway, so let's play a couple of these cuts with just so you hear the kinds of questions that he was asking and Fauci's response, which is not nearly as bad as the headlines made it out to be. But again, it's all in service of the narrative. They got the adverb they were looking for, which was obviously here. You'll see it. Cut 10.
The New York Times reported yesterday that you and other top officials wanted to recommend social and physical distancing guidelines to President Trump as far back as the third week of February. But the administration didn't announce such guidelines to the American public until March 16th, almost a month later. Why?
Jake, as I've said many times, we look at it from a pure health standpoint. We make a recommendation. Often the recommendation is taken. Sometimes it's not. But it is what it is. We are where we are right now.
Oh, I hate that it is what it is. I hated it when Belichick said it all those years. Probably still says it. It's a meaningless phrase. But anyway, here he is. Continue. Cut 11.
Do you think lives could have been saved if social distancing, physical distancing, stay-at-home measures had started third week of February instead of mid-March?
Jake, again, it's the what would have, what could have. It's very difficult to go back and say that. I mean, obviously, you could logically say that if you had a process that was ongoing and you started mitigation earlier, you could have saved lives. Obviously, no one is going to deny that. But what goes into those kinds of decisions is complicated. But you're right. I mean, obviously, if we had right from the very beginning shut everything down, it may have been a little bit different. But there was a lot of pushback about shutting things down back then.
Okay, so you hear that in the first cut. Tapper is quoting from the very fake news, failing New York Times story from the previous day, as far back as the third week of February. You wanted to shut everything down. Okay.
Very fake news.
Okay. Here we are. Let's go to February 29th, which is which would usually be March 1st in 3 out of 4 years. But that would be the 5th week of February if there was such a thing. It's the beginning of the 5th week of February. Here he is with Pajama Boy NBC reporter Peter Alexander. What do you tell Americans? Okay, so here he is with this is Fauci with Peter Alexander on February 29th, 2 weeks after he was supposedly telling Trump that to shut it down. Cut 9.
So, Dr. Fauci, it's Saturday morning in America. People are waking up right now with real concerns about this. They want to go to malls and movies, maybe the gym as well. Should we be changing our habits? And if so, how?
No, right now, at this moment, there is no need to change anything that you're doing on a day-by-day basis.
Really?
Right now, the risk is still low, but this could change. I've said that many times, even on this program. You've got to watch out because although the risk is low now, you don't need to change anything you're doing. When you start to see community spread, this could change.
Yeah.
Why didn't he correct Jake Tapper and say, well, actually, Jake, I told another one of your fellow comrades in the Democrat operatives in the media 2 weeks after I supposedly told the president to shut it down. I told him everything was okay. Okay, how about from January? How about Fauci on January 21st?
So manageable numbers. Bottom line, we don't have to worry about this one, right?
Well, obviously you need to take it seriously and do the kinds of things that the CDC and the Department of Homeland Security are doing. But this is not a major threat for the people in the United States, and this is not something that the citizens of the United States right now should be worried about.
Maybe we'll quote you on that, Dr. Fauci. Okay. So this is January 26th, 5 days before the president of the United States, who's now being blamed for everything, shut down travel to China. Apparently, Fauci didn't agree with that because he didn't think it was a big deal. Cut 8.
That has been essentially non-existent in humans until it made this jump in China, and now we have on our hands an outbreak. Having said that, getting back to your first question, it isn't something that the American public needs to worry about or be frightened about, because we have ways of preparing, of screening, of people coming in, and we have ways of responding.
So we have ways of people of judging from those sound cuts, and the chronology of what happened. 844-500-4242. Yeah. 917 says if we had just shut the country down 6 years ago, this wouldn't have happened. Okay. And now the guy who's come up with these cockamamie models is now saying, well, if we open the country up again, it could be. This is the guy who said 100,000 to 240,000. Now it's down to 26,000 to 61,000. If we open it up in May, it'll come back. Yeah, it's gonna come back. It's people are going to die. All right. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
You're tuned into the Howie Carr Radio Network.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Salt Air Inn Bed and Breakfast in Bar Harbor, Maine, just steps away from Acadia National Park. Call Matt or Christy at 207-288-2882. That's 207-288-2882.
At Subaru of New England, we believe in vehicles that families can trust. And since your safety is our top priority, our retailers are keeping their service departments open. Scheduling your service is easy. Just go to SubaruofNewEngland.com, enter your zip code to locate your Subaru retailer, and contact to confirm participation in hours. It takes love and community to make a difference. And our New England Subaru retailers are committed to being a resource for our neighbors.
The Howie Carr Show has launched a campaign to provide food and refreshments to hospital emergency room personnel throughout New England as they fight the coronavirus. It's called ER Eats, and you can help. Go to HowieCarrShow.com and click the ER Eats banner at the top of the page to donate. Each donation will also help support local restaurants who will be providing the food. And a special thank you to our sponsors, Matthews Brothers and DiStefano Hair Restoration, who have also pledged to support ER Eats. Go to HowieCarrShow.com and click the ER Eats banner to donate.
We all love President Trump's off-the-cuff comments, but he's never in rarer form than when he's speaking at a rally. Take a listen.
I hit Pocahontas way too early. I thought she was gone. She's emerged from the ashes, and now it looks like she could beat Sleepy Joe. He's fallen asleep. He has no idea what the hell he's doing or saying.
I don't know. I'm not a vain person. But I look better under an incandescent light than these crazy lights that are beaming down on.
That guy's got a serious weight problem. Go home, start exercising. Got a bigger problem than I do. Now he goes home and his mom says, what the hell have you just done? How do you top that? I'm just ready, the big, beautiful crescendo, and this character's going back home. One person just going home to mommy a little bit sooner. These are phony people, but that's okay. You know, when you think of it, I'm president and they're not.
You really have to elect me. Whether you like me or not, it makes no difference, because our country will go to hell if any of these people get in.
If you're in or near the financial red zone, that's 2 to 5 years from retirement. Do you know how your nest egg would fare if the market had a major correction? Does your plan have too much risk? Are you being too conservative? It's time to stress test your retirement plan. Call Kevin Frisbee at Frisbee & Associates and ask for your retirement plan stress test. It's a $500 value, and it's yours at no cost. 800-989-9100. Find out where your plan is today. Maybe it's time to lock in those gains, reduce your risk, and make sure your portfolio has the diversification needed to weather the inevitable bear market. Kevin can help take the worry out of living in retirement. Call now for your no-cost or obligation retirement stress test, a $500 value. Call Kevin today, 800-989-9100. That's 800-989-9100. And catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday afternoon for a market review and tips on creating the retirement of your dreams.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first
Hi, this is John in the People's Republic of Amherst, Massachusetts.
This is Heather from Litchfield, Maine.
This is Kent, Wichita, Kansas, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
I'd like to welcome John to the show. John, thanks for being here, pal.
Thank you, sir. Honored to be here.
Well, the fact is that there's a lot going on. I don't know even where to begin.
obviously. When was that, Taylor?
I think that was on his podcast today.
Okay.
So even his staff is just blissfully unaware. They're not listening to his recordings. They're just posting them. They've given up.
Yeah.
Look, he's got the nomination. We all realize it. Who cares? Just put it out.
It was amazing. He was basically unopposed in the primary in Alaska, and his percentage fell to 53%, running against nobody. So save that cut for me. Send that cut to me, please, Taylor. I'm going to try.
Howie, his staff must draw straws every day to decide who's going to actually have to sit in and listen to the podcast.
When we do podcasts, other than the show, Grace, we have a little more stringent requirements than that. You know, if Taylor had started out a segment of Dirty Rats that way, you would have said, cut! And we would have started over again.
I feel as though I'm a bit more harsh than Joe Biden's handlers. You've been in there with guests before, and I've said, no, this isn't working. We got to start over. If I said that to Joe Biden, he'd probably be like, what's going on? Who is this awful woman?
Who is this lion, dog-faced pony soldier?
Yeah.
Where am I?
Listen, fat. I'm going to record this the way I want to.
Today's, by the way, a friend of mine sent me 17 minutes of Joe Biden stuff just from last year. This is all old stuff. I'd forgotten most of it, but we now have it in our custody. And so we will never be short of Joe Biden stuff, at least for the next couple of months. We'll never be short until after the election anyway. So we've got plenty of stuff now. It's just amazing, the stuff. You're not going to believe it. Mississippi, Dr. Milton Friedman, you know, the noted economist, also known as Dr. Milton Friedman. Anyway, today's poll question is brought to you by Honey, the easiest way to find the biggest discounts online. It's free to use, and we will have you saving money in minutes. Download Honey today at joinhoney.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Would it be wise for President Trump to fire Dr. Fauci?
No, it would not, and I don't think he's going to.
66% say no.
Yeah, you know, guess what, though? The first 20 or 30 questions are going to be at the press briefing today. Why did you send out that tweet? Are you going to fire him? You don't believe in science? Is that it?
Fauci's going to have to be there today, right?
I would think he's going to have to be there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if he's not there, why isn't Fauci here? Have you fired him already? Is he dead? Oh, God. Let's play a couple more cuts. So, you know, this guy, Jake Tapper, this Democrat operative with a press pass who used to be on the Clinton payroll, he's letting Pelosi say that she knew all about this. She was trying to impeach Trump over nothing, literally nothing, the Ukrainian phone call, but she knew what was going on. Cut 2.
Do you think it's fair for Mitch McConnell to suggest that impeachment slowed down the federal response?
No. Oh, that's so sad. They can't handle their jobs, I guess, because what are they saying? We ignored it? It was self-evident. Most people knew about it, and certainly those of responsibility. So I say of that, either you can't handle your job, but don't blame impeachment on that. Just blame it on the fact that you didn't want to face the reality. And that denial and that delay cost lives.
It was self-evident. It was self-evident. That's why Nancy Pelosi, with Chinese New Year, I think February 23rd in San Francisco, here was her advice to her constituents, because it was so self-evident that there was a pandemic going on. Cut 3.
It's exciting to be here, especially at this time, to be able to be unified with our community. We want to be vigilant about what it might be on what is out there in other places. We want to be careful about how we deal with it, but we do want to say to people, come to Chinatown. Here we are. We're, again, careful, safe, and come join us.
And infected. It's self-evident.
So she's basically saying in the last cut that if Trump were president in the days leading up to 9/11 or Pearl Harbor, that they would have kept impeachment going, knowing that he had to respond to this impending attack, which in this case is the coronavirus. But right. he should have been able to do his job while we were impeaching him.
Right. Right. And this is a major epidemic that's threatening the future of the United States of America. But we have time to go through all these gotcha moments, which aren't even real gotcha moments. These are just fake news gotcha moments. We'll be right back with Alex Berenson on Howie Carr. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Usually we just brush it off or blame ourselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo, or we avoid it altogether with excuses like, I had a long day at work, or sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. But with Roman, it is easy to talk about with a real doctor who could prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. The doctor will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/Howie and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to tackle, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Just go to GetRoman.com/Howie to get a free online visit and free 2-day shipping. That's GetRoman.com/Howie for a free visit to get started. GetRoman.com/Howie.
They're outlandish, they're outrageous, and they're hypocrites. They're the women of The View.
Bernie was so menschy in that moment, like a real guy. I actually am aroused by him.
Timothy McVeigh was a Christian. Just saying.
Hitler was a Christian.
Well, he didn't like the Catholics.
Trump needs to be medicated and hospitalized at this point, or he is going to just kill all of us.
I mean, do we have to wait till the hammer and sickle is on the American flag before we stand up to this guy?
Joy, you've worn blackface.
I did not go in blackface, please.
No, she was not in blackface.
Thank you.
It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman. Did you have tanning lotion on, a little, I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
I'm hoping Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. She's a hell of a doctor.
Whoopi, you said that Roman Polanski, it wasn't rape.
I know it wasn't rape.
Child molest, maybe? I'm not sure.
It was something else, but I don't believe it was rape.
Oh, no.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts, I get in trouble with some of the things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me, it starts here in my gut, goes to my heart, and then I articulate it. And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on me.
For supporting Music Drives Us. Since 2006, we have used the power of music to benefit communities throughout the 6 states of New England. During this time, we've proudly supported more than 200 schools and donated upwards of 1,000 instruments. And this year, we're getting ready to donate all over again. Our work is made possible through your continued support of our musical mission. Whether you donated, volunteered at our events, attended our concerts, or engaged with us on social media, thank you. We hope you'll stay tuned with what we have in store for this year, because it'll be our best year yet. Visit us at musicdrivesus.org. That's musicdrivesus.org. Or follow us at Music Drives Us on social. Together, we can keep music in our schools.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. Joining us now on the news line is Alex Berenson. He's a former New York Times reporter, very successful novelist, and he's also the author of a great book, of a contrarian viewpoint about the legalization of marijuana. Tell your children the truth about marijuana, mental illness, and violence. And didn't get a lot of attention from the left-wing media when it came out, but it's a great book. And he's married to he's a Yale grad. He's married to a psychiatrist, and he's got a contrarian attitude on the coronavirus pandemic as well. And he's really been a great voice, not exactly in the wilderness, but he's been fairly lonely. And we wanted to have him on. You may have seen him on TV, and you may have read his tweets, but he's doing a great job. Alex Berenson. Thanks for being with us on the Howie Carr Show, Alex.
Howie, thank you so much for having me.
Where do you think we are right now? How soon are we going to get out from under this rock?
I mean, I think that's a really good question, because by any reasonable standard, the epidemic has rolled over. It looks like, if you look at, even in New York City and New York State, hospitalizations are essentially flat. Deaths are a lagging indicator. I've said this over and over again. People go in the hospital, and some of them do die. Some of them wind up on ventilators, and some of those people die. But what you need to worry about, really, even more than the number of infections, because that number is sort of driven by the number of tests that we do, and we don't quite understand really at this point how many people are really infected. What we want to know is how many people are winding up in the hospital with this, because some number of those people will then get really sick. And that number outside of New York City, and New York State has been relatively flat. It looks like nationally from the best I can track it, and I'm trying to track various states. And then even in New York City, which was obviously the hardest hit, it seems to have flattened now. The net infections the last few days, or net hospitalizations are close to zero. So in a reasonable world, people would be starting to talk seriously about how we move forward. Okay. And that doesn't mean that we go back right now to the way it was, let's say in mid-February, right? It means that we figure out quickly, because our economy is in free fall, how we're going to open first workplaces, then retail, then hospitality, and then mass events. Okay. And it doesn't have to be a long period of time between those things, but really it seems like that's a reasonable way to do it. And do we want to encourage people to wear masks in public? Because the Japanese and in Asian countries, they've been more aggressive about wearing masks, and they don't seem to have had as much of a problem. And what are the metrics going to be that we're going to reopen things? Because the whole point of this, people seem to have forgotten a month ago, the point of this was not to drive COVID infections or deaths to zero. That's not a standard we've ever had for any other illness.
Right.
Okay. In the 1980s, when HIV was killing 100% of the people it infected, we didn't shut society down. Okay. We don't shut society down because tuberculosis kills 1.5 million people worldwide every year. We don't do that. So
what happened
so
here,
the
though,
idea of a lockdown?
Alex, what happened?
Yeah.
Why is this so different than any other virus or swine flu or Asian flu or SARS? Why is this so different?
So clearly, well, it's scary to people because it's novel, because it came out of China, because there are these rumors about, the Chinese, killed a lot of people secretly. Nobody knows if that's true. Okay. It's a rumor, but a lot of people believe it. Okay. So this is a scary thing. And then for a month in February, when we could have been preparing for it, we didn't do anything, or we didn't do very much. And then, Italy got overrun, northern Italy got overrun, and the whole country panicked. The media panicked, the whole country panicked. And instead of saying, you know what, the average age of death from the coronavirus in Italy is 80.
Right.
Let's look at protecting the people who are actually ill and saving our economy. We just said, we're going to shut the whole country down. And it was a cascade, state to state. And then New York City, which is the media capital of the world, which is filled with people who don't like Donald Trump, obviously. I don't think I'm saying anything controversial when I say that, and who, believe Trump's response to the pandemic was bad. New York City then got overrun, and that made the panic so much worse. And so now it is like trying to beat people over the head with data to get them to look at some of the numbers about what's really happening. Yeah. The thing that I have said, I think that's gotten more traction than anything else, besides the fact that the models are just wrong and have been wrong, is that the hospitals outside New York City and outside a couple other places, hospitals in this country are emptying. Okay, it is crazy that in the middle of what is supposed to be the worst pandemic since the Spanish flu, hospitals are emptying.
Yeah, I know, because they're not any more inpatient visits, because they're shut down, and elective surgeries have pretty much ended. But here's the problem, Alex. Dwight Eisenhower warned about the military-industrial complex, and then people talked about the welfare-industrial complex. It seems like in the last 6 weeks we've developed something here in this country and I just coined the phrase, the pandemic industrial complex. They don't want it to go back to the way it was. I don't know if I think it's just because they want to beat Donald Trump, basically. But for whatever reason, they want the shutdown to continue indefinitely.
I mean, I don't want to believe that, okay? But it is hard to read some of the coverage and some of the misleading stories that I've sort of read and pointed to, and not start to have that feeling that why aren't people telling the truth about who's gotten sick? Why aren't people discussing how badly the models have failed? Why aren't people saying, you know what, like even in New York City, there was the overflow we didn't use really, we used a tiny bit of it. And outside of New York City, nurses are literally, and I'm not exaggerating, being laid off. A hospital in Oklahoma City closed. Why aren't we talking about this stuff? I don't know.
I know, and we've been trying to get the same as you, the data on who's dying. Powerlineblog.com is in Minnesota. The state of Minnesota their own data. The average age of a death, a median age, is 88. 88. I mean, I'm sorry,
That's right.
but 88 in Massachusetts, the best we can determine, because they don't release the median dates, but it looks like it's 82. 2/3 of the deaths in Minnesota are in nursing homes. 45% in Massachusetts, at least, are in nursing homes. Again, I'm sorry, but it's not a society-wide problem, is it?
Well, look, you can get sick from this if you're younger, and certainly if you have comorbidities. But yeah, no, and look, you've seen deaths reported in hospices that are attributed to COVID. How do you report that? How do you report somebody died of COVID if they're in hospice for something else? Like, I mean, I don't understand that. I put out a number yesterday, and nobody's contradicted it. This is one of the craziest numbers in all of this. As far as I can tell, if you total up the death totals that the states have reported, that Italy has reported, that the Netherlands and all these other countries, they've done some pretty good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
More people over 100, over the age of 100, have died of COVID than under the age of 30.
Wow.
I mean, look at you can find the Massachusetts numbers. There's been like 8 or 10 people over 100 who've died. Nobody, as far as certainly nobody under 20 in Massachusetts.
And incidentally, some people over 100 have survived too. I've seen that in some of those charts.
That's right. I mean, and by the way, we haven't even talked about the other half of this, which is the economic devastation now is so off the charts. We don't have charts for it.
Yeah. I know 17 million unemployed filed for unemployment in the last 3 weeks alone. Probably another 6-7 million this week too. And a lot of these
we are under. Sorry, go on.
But again, I mean, there are people who think they're going to benefit politically from this. I'm sorry, Alex. I know your background, Yale and New York Times and all that. But I mean, what other conclusion can you draw? They seem to be practically giddy about this sometimes when they're reporting.
I try to stay out of it because I want to focus on the public health stuff, and I just want us to have a more sane policy. And fighting about whether people hate Trump and that's the reason for this, it does not help. Is airtight. Okay, I wrote it because my wife is a psychiatrist, and she said this is what I'm seeing, and it turned out, of course, she knew what she was talking about, and I've heard, the data. I mean, the data in the book that is from medical study after medical study. Since the book came out, I've heard from so many psychiatrists. The media didn't care.
You went to Yale. You went to Yale, Alex.
Not dangerous.
Alex, I dare say you've had some firsthand experience with people you knew who had used cannabis, and it didn't turn out quite as sanguinely as they told you it did.
No, I mean, listen. I think we all have. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I know people whose lives have essentially stopped from cannabis.
Right.
And I think I think a lot of people, if they actually think about people they know in their lives, know that's true. But my point is this. The pushback that I've gotten in the last month, although it is fierce from the media, it doesn't really bother me because I watched this happen last year with Tell Your Children, and I will tell you this: my emails are running maybe 50, maybe 100 to 1 in favor of ending the lockdowns. I mean, what you see on Twitter is not what average people seem to feel about this right now. A lot of them, anyway.
I think most people want an end to it, and again, that doesn't mean that anyone is discounting the toll here. But you know what's going to happen in an hour and a half when he goes out there. They're going to say, how dare you think about opening the country back up, and what do you tell the first person who dies? You know what they're going to do. I mean, they think they got him between. They've got him where they couldn't get him on Russia, they couldn't get him on Ukraine. Now they think they got him. I'm sorry, Alex. You don't want to think about that, but I see it, and it's just it's ridiculous. What did you think of what Fauci said yesterday after basically downplaying the threat all through January and February, and then he kind of got trapped by Jake Tapper on CNN.
Right. So look, I mean, Fauci said a lot of different things recently. He said we're not going to reopen until we have no cases of this, which again, that's a standard that does not exist for any other disease. Then he said maybe November. then you actually heard him on Fox a little bit. I think it was yesterday, kind of saying, well, maybe this wasn't the best course in retrospect, but we didn't know it at the time. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he sort of started to step that way. Mm-hmm. Dr. Fauci is not the president of the United States. The president of the United States is the president of the United States, and he's the one who has to balance everyone's interests, of the 80-year-old in the nursing home and of the 6-year-old who's not getting any food because he's not going to school and is stuck at home with his abusive mother and father. He's got to balance, the president's got to balance the person in the hospital who could get sick from this and the person who's 40 years old and doesn't have a job right now and doesn't know how he's going to pay his rent next month. It's his job to balance it for all of us.
Alex Berenson, you're doing a really good job. And, again, that your book about marijuana, Tell Your Children the Truth About Marijuana, Mental Illness and Violence, is a great book too. And I'm gonna check out some of your mysteries. I'm reading a lot of mysteries these days, and I was not
there
familiar
you go.
with you. But tell us about give yourself a plug with my audience for your mysteries. You have a series.
So yeah, it's a series. It's CIA spy thrillers, and the first one came out in 2006. I worked in Iraq for the New York Times for a couple, not for that long, but I did do a couple of tours there, and I wound up writing this book about, I wouldn't say it was based on my experiences, but my experiences informed it, and it's about a CIA agent who's inside Al Qaeda, named John Wells, and he converts to Islam, and then they send him home to carry out an attack, and sort of nobody trusts him. Al Qaeda doesn't trust him, CIA doesn't trust him, and he's got to figure out what's going on his own. And somewhat to my surprise, people liked John Wells. John Wells kind of he's not that easy a guy, but people liked him, and I wound up writing 12 of these books.
Okay, so he's like a 21st century Private Eye.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, the thing about Wells is he doesn't really think he can do anything to change the world, but he knows he's got to try. He's sort of like this. He's a little like Tom Brady. He's just going to keep strapping on his helmet because he doesn't know what else to do with himself.
All right, Alex Berenson, thank you so much for being with us. I hope we can talk to you again in a couple of weeks when this thing, hopefully starts to wind down.
Yep, let's hope so. Howie, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. That's Alex Berenson. He's the contrarian chronicler of this pandemic that we're all under. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Radio Network.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Roman. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Go to getroman.com/Howie to get a free online visit and free 2-day shipping.
The 2020 elections have the potential to shape the next decade financially. That's especially true if you're within 10 years of retirement. Is your plan ready? Find out with a portfolio stress test from Kevin Frisbee at Frisbee & Associates. Call 800-989-9100 for your no-cost, no-obligation analysis. Kevin can help uncover any hidden fees that may be lurking in your plan. The team at Frisbee & Associates are up to date on all the latest rules and regulations, from what the Secure Act is and isn't to Social Security and Medicare. Let Kevin and the team give you peace of mind as you get near retirement. Make sure your plan is ready for whatever happens come November. It starts with a phone call to Frisbee & Associates, 800-989-9100. And be sure and catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program.
Hey, Howie.
Yes.
You have the bullet points for Dr.
Cancer is going to be much more difficult when there's so much climate change and pollutants in the environment, because a lot of cancer is environmentally caused.
Recognizing and acknowledging the link between animal agriculture and climate change is a very bold move, making tonight plant-based.
Campers, have you thought of upgrading your RV or camper this year? This is Howie Carr. Right now at Cold Springs RV, you can shop great preseason deals on a brand new 2020 camper. Go see the latest in pop-ups, travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, and motor homes. Cold Springs RV is your one-stop shop with over 200 acres of all things camping. It started with a camp resort, then came the RV center and superstore. Now they have the region's largest state-of-the-art service center and auto body shop. That makes Cold Springs your destination for all things camping. Remember, at Cold Springs RV, the doors are always open so you can freely browse. So go check out the latest 2020 models and see.
Hey, Howie?
Yes.
Just in case McKay doesn't get it to you in time, the website that people should go to enter to win is hairman.com/Howie.
Hairman.com/Howie. Okay.
Correct.
And that's where you go to enter the contest. Okay.
And be sure to thank Dr. Highness for his
No, I've got it.
contribution
I've got
to
that in
EREs.
front of me. Okay.
Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped. You know what I mean? Finally, I said, you don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy.
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020 and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words.
Hi, this is Cindy from Osterville, Massachusetts.
This is Brett Rock from Dunstable, Massachusetts.
This
Yes,
is
3 minutes.
Amy in Lisbon Falls, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Okay, you're locked down, or you're worried about being locked down. So we want to give you a chance to win something. Win a nice special prize that you hadn't been thinking of, and that is a hair transplant giveaway, a free hair transplant from DiStefano Hair Restoration Center. So we're going to give you the details right now, and this is your chance to win. Joining us now on the line is Dr. Chris Highness, who runs DiStefano Hair Restoration Center. First of all, Dr. Highness, thank you very much for contributing to ER Eats, our program to get hospitals provided with meals from our local restaurants, so that everybody can win, have a small win, the hospitals and the restaurants. But thank you very much for the contribution. So, but tell us about the hair transplant giveaway. You there, Dr. Highness? I don't know if we have him or not. 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. So here's what you do. You go to hairman.com/Howie, hairman.com/Howie. And you enter your contact details and be sure to tell us why DiStefano Hair Restoration should pick you to be the winner. And they want to hear your story. The winner will be notified within 24 hours once the contest is ended. And don't worry, even if you don't win, they're going to have a special offer plan for anyone who enters the contest. But they're going to give away a free transplant. I don't know if we've got them. Do we have them back on yet or not? No, I guess we don't. So anyway, Dr. Chris Highness at DiStefano Hair Restoration Center, they are still open right now. And if you want more details on hair restorations, go to hairman.com. But to enter the contest, go to hairman.com/Howie. And this is a great opportunity. I had it done. Dr. Highness did my last hair transplant, and I feel so much better. I feel younger. I think I look younger. People have told me that this is the first time they've ever not known that it was a hair transplant. That's how good these guys are, and they're still open. They're still open. So don't worry about that. Go to hairman.com/Howie, hairman.com/Howie. And again, Dr. Highness, we thank you very much for being with us, for joining us in our ereats.com. Excuse me, go to howiecarrshow.com and click on the ER Eats banner if you want to donate money to our program. Dr. Highness gave us $1,000. We've gotten a lot of great contributions from our listeners. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. If you would like to join us here, and we're going to be back with Grace's news in a little bit. And again, if you Dr. Highness is a great doctor, and we got this contest. It's going to be a great contest, hair transplant giveaway. And again, go to hairman. Here. to find the biggest discounts online. It's free to use and will have you saving money in minutes. Download Honey today at joinhoney.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far? No, it would not. Right. And obviously, the president didn't take his advice when he banned travel from China on January 31st because we're just playing those cuts. He said it was fine. Everything was just dandy. Right. He's really pitiful. I've lost what little respect I ever had for the guy. Haven't seen him in his early days as a mayor back in the 1980s in Burlington, Vermont. This is sad. Why am I laughing? Considering I'm in a rerun. I'm this whole Joe Biden thing. Did you get into that in the first segment? The New York Times and the Washington Post twisting themselves up into pretzels, trying to explain away Joe Biden's Me Too moment. It's great. They didn't. It's odd. It's odd, Grace, that they waited to run these stories until after Bernie had actually conceded the race. They didn't let anything get out. Yeah. I'll read some of the stuff from the Washington Post and the New York Times as we go on, or if we get back on the air, with the whole panoply of things going on. It's but one of them is this was the worst thing that they could find out. I guess like it's kind of like saying of Ted Kennedy, other than drowning Mary Jo Kopechne in 1969, he never killed any women as far as we can determine. Right. So that this he only threw this woman up against the wall, one woman up against the wall, and penetrated her one time. That's the only time he did it. And then the New York Times said, well, this is, yeah. All right. So we're having technical problems today, believe it or not.